All right, welcome everyone to the Spiritual Freedom Support Call number 17. How is everyone this week? Maria, you said you're
Doing
doing well?
great.
You're doing good?
Yeah, doing good. I mean, I don't know. Like, that's what I actually want to talk today.
Yeah, what's
I
up?
really, in general, my life has always been good. I mean, I am really grateful for that. Like, my parents were in a good condition to give us a good education and all. In India, your parents take care of you till you actually start working, and for a girls it's like up to their marriage, to be honest with you,
Right.
unless they start working and all. So it was all good, and I never had a problem with money. Like,
Sure.
I always had enough, and I always had like I didn't really have to wait so long for something. It was, and I really don't have any unrealistic things in my list. Like, I want to
Right.
buy aeroplane or something,
Right.
nothing like that.
Right.
I'm not a jet flying kind of thing. Even if I could offer, I will never. I'm not in that all stuff. So, you know.
Right.
So the thing is, right now I have a choice. Like, I can work if I want, or if I don't want, I can. Like, my husband does, like, we are doing good. Like,
Right.
financially, we are fine.
Sure.
We got our own, like. Then I have another choice to study. He said, if you wanna study, then you go for studies. But overall, I'm doing like your zero state. I was thinking to come in, but it would have been so long, so I thought I would better talk today in support call. I I'm kind of in a ever since I started this study, like, and I'm feeling really calm.
Mm-hmm.
Very rarely now something disturbs me or gives
Sure.
me anxiety or something.
Right.
So I'm doing fine. I mean, I know if I want to work, I'm sure I will find a better job. If
Mm-hmm.
I study, I know I will do better.
Sure.
So is it okay to go on like this? Or, I mean, this is a stupid question, but I really don't know, Brandon. Is there any something I should like? Yeah, I do have a dream about the business, no doubt about that. But I know that will also work out eventually.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
know this is not the time for me to take an action. I know I just have a thing, kind of, I know it will work out eventually. I
Right.
mean, I kind of, you know, I I really don't know. Is there something I should be? I have a kind of a desire for a business. Like I told you before when you did my readings and all.
Uh-huh.
Uh, so I also know it will work out. I mean, I have that confidence.
Mm-hmm.
So what should I do? Like, I
So
mean,
basically, you
shall
don't
I
know
just
which
wait?
path. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Which
mean,
path to take.
I should, yeah, I should go study, focus on that, or work, or shall I just wait till the circumstances will be favorable for me to start my own thing? That's
Well, this
where.
this might seem like a
Hmm.
simplistic question, but
Uh-huh.
what what feels best for you to do right now?
How my thinking works. If suppose if I always believe in growing up, like, I don't mind starting any. I know I will grow further. Wherever I worked up till now, it was always been a great experience for me. I got very good pay raises and promotions very fast, and
Right.
so I knew that. So for a moment, I thought, like, I don't know if I should set a timeline when to start my business, or I can just go to the work, you know, start working somewhere, and then let's see how things rolls. And I'm sure, it will come all together. And
Hmm.
that's, or just, I that's where the biggest confusion is right now.
So whether to
Or shall
work,
I?
so whether to find another
Yeah.
job first,
Yes.
or to go, was one of your options to go to school? Did you say, like to
Yeah. Yeah.
study,
Yeah. To college.
or
Yeah.
to? Okay. So which one would be most joyous to you? Which one would
Oh,
be
both
most
of
fun
them.
to
Trust
you?
me. I, in fact, was thinking to work part-time and do college part-time.
Sure.
I love both. I'm always been an open-minded person. I
Sure.
love to learn and
Oh, I
grow,
know me
and
too.
yeah. So I would enjoy both. That's not an issue. But you know,
Hi,
it's just
Justin. I hear you. Okay. So, I would say it really just, again, it depends what feels best to you. I would say the best thing to do
mm-hmm.
is um, to line up with the feeling of what you want. What do you
Okay,
want to be
okay,
experiencing? Do you know what I mean?
okay.
And
Yes.
basically go from there. So, if
Okay.
if you get really excited about going to school part time and working part time or whatever,
Yeah.
then do that. Now if you have
Yeah.
resistance,
Yeah.
there,
Yes.
then you can work through it. But I don't know if you've ever heard of what's his name, Joseph Campbell. His main one of his
Yeah.
expressions is he says, "Follow your bliss," and I'm all
Oh
about
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Follow your bliss,
Okay.
follow what makes you happiest. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and sometimes you don't know what
Yeah.
path sometimes you don't know what path is best for you until you start walking down one of them, and
Exactly.
then
Yeah.
you might say, "Oh yeah, this is perfect," or you might say, "You know what? It wasn't. Maybe this is not the one." You know what I mean? And
Okay.
so
Yeah,
you
yeah.
say, "Well, I'll try this other thing." You have your whole life, and you have an excellent
Okay.
attitude, so it's not like you're gonna lose a lot of time or anything. You have an excellent attitude about
Yeah.
all this stuff. So try whatever feels best to you at this moment. Whatever
Okay.
and whatever feels least resistant, and
Mhm.
just try
Mhm.
it. And if it doesn't work for you, then I mean, I think I mentioned
Yeah.
this last week,
Yes. Mhm.
um, that I have had so many different interests. I've tried so many different things. I've taken so many different majors in college, and then I would go into it and I would say, not my thing. And I try something else. Not my thing. Something
Okay.
else. Not my thing. And
How
it's
many religions did you try?
about 3 billion. Uh,
Not my thing.
so it just didn't work like that until a year or two ago when I thought, oh, NLP, that's the thing, and law of attraction, and all this other stuff, and now it's developed into what I have now. So it took me time. That's the point. It took me time to really figure
Mhm.
out what I wanted to do
Okay.
and how I wanted to work that out, and that's okay. It's like
Mhm.
you have time. It's okay. You don't have to get it perfect the first time
Yeah.
or anything.
Yes.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
you'll always be you're never going to get it done. You're never going to reach the end of everything and, oh, I've arrived. You're always going to be
Yeah.
moving
Yeah.
towards something bigger, and you're always going
True.
to be working towards something higher.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, choose something and go for it.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
You're right. I will do that. I mean, yeah, I will start and see how it goes, and then because we are moving to Indiana State now
Oh,
in
really?
February.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
yeah, it's kind of exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, my husband got a project over there, so we will be moving in February. So that is exciting, kind of seeing new
All
place
right.
and all.
That is
Yeah,
awesome.
so
You got
yeah, it is.
You'll be in the Midwest.
So
That's
yeah,
awesome. Oh,
so
that's great.
that's yeah, I mean, yeah, in general, I'm very happy with my life because I know I can do it. I can start from anywhere, anytime.
Yes.
I
Yes.
I never had those issues. Absolutely
Right.
never.
Right. Right. Oh yeah, you
So
have it.
whatever yeah, so I always like to, I kind of, I don't know, I don't like to complain. I work with things, I see, okay, this is here, okay, go. I never said when I work like, this is not my job, why should I do it? That's not
Right.
me.
Right.
I can't do it. If I at all I get, I will do it. I love it. I want to see how these things. If at all the time comes for me to manage those things, and then I will be proud. Oh, I already know it. So
Sure.
so so that kind of person I am. So yeah, that's because like I don't want to mix up things a lot, and when we talk about the goals, so I'm kind of keeping two parallel goals here. So that's
Right.
that's the only thing. Like, I mean, I should have just one and make it right, or just it's okay to be with both, and you know.
Oh, you can,
So
you can pursue multiple
yeah.
things at once. I mean,
Uh-huh.
like I said, I have so many interests that I mean, heck,
Yeah.
I was doing some programming the other day because
Uh-huh.
I had to tell someone to develop a quick script
Mhm.
for it. I do all
Mhm.
sorts of different stuff as I want to, and
Mhm.
as I might spend a week where I focus a lot on one thing, and then spend a week where I focus a lot on another thing, and it's
Okay.
just there was a time in my life where I thought I had to like stick to one thing, and I had to just do that thing and nothing else, and but I sort of let myself because I find that people really value consistency.
Yeah.
People would say to me like, "Hey, Brandon, why don't you stick, choose a religion, for instance, and stick with it, or choose a career path and stick with it, or
Uh-huh.
and it used to make me really self conscious, and then I started saying, why?
Yeah.
why? Why should I? I mean,
Exactly.
I believe in
I can do
exploration,
multiple
and
things.
there are
Yeah.
so many interesting things in this world. Why would I want to limit myself to one thing?
Yeah.
So it's like there's
Yeah.
too much stuff to explore. Um,
Yes, definitely.
yeah, I don't want to stick to one thing. You know,
Exactly.
so
Yeah.
I think
I know.
definitely you should do whatever you want to do and choose a few different goals, and that's
Mhm.
perfectly fine. So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
Ju-
Thank you so much.
yeah, no problem. Justin, how are you doing?
Hello,
Just
hey, how you doing? Hey,
good.
Brandon.
How's it going?
It's going all right.
Good.
Uh, just had a shot of apple vinegar cider.
Really?
Wow.
What's that
Oh,
for? Just a
that's
health thing?
Yeah, it's rough. Let me
Yeah.
tell you.
Vinegar's ugh.
It's
mhm.
everything they said it was and more.
Christine used to try
Man,
that. Someone told her to, what was it? Vinegar and water. I don't know what it was.
I don't know
And
what it is, but it's got some other in it, and it's right out of the it's Bragg's apple vinegar cider or
yeah,
apple cider
Apple cider
vinegar. Let me
vinegar.
tell you, buddy, you can drink it straight. That's what I did. You
ugh.
can also put it in stuff if you want, but why dilute it? Just
Why dilute it? Yeah,
be a,
why?
be a man.
Why prolong the suffering?
Why? Yeah. Why? Pro? Exactly. Yeah.
That's funny.
Just
Oh my gosh.
just put it on your chest. Don't worry about it. Be all
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. I was saying, for those who weren't here, Christine will be here in a few minutes. She's choosing music for the mass on this weekend, so she'll be here in a
Fran
few
is not
minutes.
here today.
Sorry, what'd you say?
Fran is not here.
Fran,
Fran.
no, she is. She had a dinner to attend, so she regretted she couldn't
Okay.
be here today. Okay,
How are you doing, Brenda?
I'm good. I
Yeah.
last week I had that all those sales going on, and that was really productive for me.
Uh-huh.
I had a really busy week. And everything's just been going really well. Not too much really going on, but just having a lot of
Mhm.
fun with everything.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's been really
Yeah.
good.
How are
Yep.
you
And what about
sleeping? Are
you?
you sleeping better?
Yeah. Well, hey, first of all, what were you saying, Ria? Sorry.
No, I was asking Brenda how she's doing. Did she got any job or how she's doing?
Well, I'm kind of tentatively doing a job. I'm in the
Okay.
training process right now,
Oh, that's
and
great.
it's a startup business online with a friend of mine.
Okay. Uh-huh.
He's got the site and everything. He's just putting me through training, and then I'm going to be running the site.
That's
He doesn't
awesome.
have the
That's
time
nice.
to.
Right.
And he's been doing this for like 20 years, so
Right.
kind of knows
Okay.
what he's doing.
That's great. Good luck with that.
Yeah, that's great.
Um,
Yeah.
to answer your question, Brenda, I've been definitely feeling better, but my body does not like to sleep 7 hours a night, and I've been trying to how can I say it? I've been trying to respect my body a lot more lately. Like if it, instead of, so I was trying to force it to sleep 7 hours a night at first, and it just wasn't working.
Don't
And then
do it. I don't ever do that.
I know, and then I thought, you know what? If my body doesn't want to sleep 7 hours a night, I'm not going to make it sleep 7 hours a night. And if I sleep like 5.5 hours, and then later that day I want to take a nap, I'm going to do that. So I've just sort of been trying to be gentle with myself, and but I do feel a ton better but it's just I just can't sleep for that long.
Yeah. I don't either.
Yeah,
6 hours at the most.
yeah, I do
No, it
like
depends. It depends. Like last night, I from like 10 to about 10, almost 11 to about 7. That was good.
that's 8 hours. That's nice. I don't remember the last time I slept 8 hours. I don't remember the last time I slept 7 hours. I've I've gotten really close. I've gotten to 6:45, and that's about it, but not seven. But I just can't do it. I sleep between 5.5 to 6.5 every night, and
Oh, that's
that's
too less
Usually
sleep.
that's
that's
what I
the
do.
most I can do. And then maybe like after I was doing research and I heard like this what is it is it the serotonin levels or whatever in our brain that tells us we're tired has two natural dips throughout the day, and the second one is like in the afternoon, so it can be beneficial to take a nap if you're able to. So I always get tired like early in the afternoon or something after lunch, and so I've been trying to, if today I didn't get to because I was finishing a book I was reading, and that was too good. But but
Mhm.
I'm hooked on this Discworld series by Terry Pratchett.
Priorities.
What's that?
He's
Yeah,
pretty
that's
good with
right.
those.
Priorities. Yep.
He's got a
But
lot of those books out.
oh,
Terry
he has
Pratchett
like
does.
36 of them. They're
And
great
of course,
books.
dwarves come with their own axes. So
Yeah. But
I remember that part of it. I didn't read much of it, but
it's such a good
I mean,
series. The one I just read was called Witches Abroad. It was hilarious. But anyway, yeah, so I'm trying to just respect my body and just let it do what it wants to do. And, if it doesn't want to sleep 7 hours, then it's whatever. But, so yeah, it's been going really well though. I finally found a good setting for my mask, a good fitting for it that I can sleep on my side and not be super uncomfortable. So I'm adapting to the treatment, so that's good.
yeah, that's
Yeah. So I received a question for
Mhm.
discussing on the call, and it's sort of a long one. I'm sorry, you know how I am with reading questions, but I will try my best. So I'm sorry about the length. If anything's unclear about it, I mean, I'm willing to go back. I had a Brenda. I'm assuming that was your phone. I had a friend who used to have that ringtone. It reminds me of her. But anyway,
wasn't mine.
oh, was it yours?
It wasn't mine too.
Justin's that yours?
Just
Anyway, so Lisa has a question. Actually, it's two questions, she says. Okay. Again, this is going to take me a few minutes to read. She says, "Hi, Brandon. I have a question for the next support call, if there's time for it. It's really two questions, one about your opinion of a general principle, and another about a specific application of that principle. Many LOA practitioners have said the following principle is true. If you ever feel like your energy is contracted, then you should expand it instead. I'm not sure if contracted energy means resistance or not, but the basic idea is that you should relax your body and your energy whenever you feel tense or self protective. What do you think about this principle? Is it true?" Okay, and then the specific one. I've tried to follow this. I've tried to follow this some, and it seems to help in some situations, but I have a specific application that did not turn out well at all this past week. So here's the application issue. I went to choir practice, and for some reason I felt extremely uncomfortable with the energy there. I go there every week, and sometimes the energy doesn't feel good, but this time it felt just horrible. I noticed that I was sitting with my knees tightly together, my hands tense, my arms close against my body, not wanting to touch anyone or be touched, and the whole vibrational energy of the place and the people felt chaotic and unpleasant. But I remember that LOA idea of relaxing and opening up your energy when you feel contracted. For about 10 minutes, I repeated to myself, "It's okay to be vulnerable because I am safe here," and relaxed my body as much as possible. I also sent a little bit of love to the lady next to me, but mostly I was just trying to relax my energy. I felt a little bit calmer, but not great, and I got through the rest of the practice. Then on the way home, I noticed my energy felt just terrible. It felt like there were huge dirty splotches on my aura. Sorry if that sounds weird. Or that like I was contaminated with all this ugly, filthy energy. I did some cleansing when I got home, but even a day later, I still felt like I was scrubbing that out of myself. Then I remembered the 10 minutes I spent intentionally opening up rather than contracting, and I wondered if that had anything to do with it. So my question is, was that wise to expand and open up my energy rather than stay contracted? Was the principle a bad one, or did I just misapply it in some way? Okay, hopefully that was clear. Sorry. Um,
It was, and
yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, it's such a tough one. I think your intuition was probably saying something. You know what I mean?
Mm.
That
Yeah.
you have. Okay, I mean, when it comes to your manifestations, yes, you should in general stay open. But when you are out somewhere or with a person and you feel icky, you feel contracted, or you feel whatever,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
should probably respect that.
Yeah.
And, you can visualize a shield around you, or you can, whatever you want to do that is good for you, or, you seem to be handling it pretty well. But it's just you want to respect your intuition about these things. Who knows why it was? Someone might have been in a really bad place at that time because she said usually it's fine, but you should really
Sometimes
respect
it's not.
yourself. I'm sorry. Sometimes it's not.
You said it's usually fine, but sometimes it's
Sometimes it's
not.
not. Yeah.
Kind of what you said, and then no, you needed to keep protections up that at that point.
Right.
That was man. You gotta you remain open with manifestations. You do not remain open with everyone's energy all the time.
Yes. Oh yeah, that
That
can
will
be
wreck your system.
especially. I
There
would.
is a go
Yeah.
ahead. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say real quick. I would guess that she's probably an empath, at least a little bit, if she was really that affected by it. And empaths really, 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 really have to have to protect themselves. I'm speaking from
Yeah,
experience. Um,
and
yeah, go
and
ahead.
there's a way to remain open while protected, but
Right.
you've got to. I can instinctively do it, but you've got to really know how to do it. Like it's almost better to just stay closed if you're not knowing how to
Mm,
stay open and be protected. It's like a way to just you can keep bad stuff out pretty much, but you can sort of let the stuff in you want. There's a way to get your
right.
shield to do that, but
Right. Yeah, there is.
it's something that folks who like you and I are blind need to actually learn.
Right.
But but for the most part, if you don't know how to do that, or if you're really into a situation like that, man, keep your shields down.
Yeah.
Keep your shields up. Don't, because what happened was you dropped everything and let everything in, and that whatever it
Yeah.
was got in there and did whatever it did.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
I mentioned last week. I think we had Christine had a client recently who came in, and this lady was chronically negative. I mean, I heard her voice, and immediately
Hmm.
I just knew, okay, this lady is chronic. Okay, and even after she left, it hung around. It hung around for a little while, and I had to really cleanse the area and that kind of stuff. And, so
Yeah.
it's definitely you have to be careful. Energy is very powerful. Obviously, if you have people around who have really negative energy, who really exude that negative energy, then it can definitely influence the area. It can definitely influence you if you're not protected against that. So it's just something you have to watch for. Definitely.
Yes.
So I think Christine's back. Yay.
Uh huh.
She'll be here in a second. But yeah, so hi Christine.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I couldn't find the songs I
Did you
wanted.
get it all figured out?
Kind of.
Sort of.
They
Anyways,
didn't have the songs I wanted.
I'm sorry. So yeah, but if you really have to be able to protect yourself against stuff like that. It's not always going to open up. And
What I miss?
just a question that Lisa asked.
Oh,
That
how late am I?
not too late. It's not 9 o'clock yet. I don't know.
I'm so sorry, guys.
That's okay. So anyway, but you really have to be careful about that. You really want to watch out for that, and if you don't want to open up totally to everything because it's sort of not so good. you know,
That's true.
yeah, not so good. You can get all sorts of different things, and I mean,
Hmm.
if you maintain a high vibration, and I've said about this before, um, energy resonance. Okay, so if two or more people are together who have opposing or clashing energies, the strongest one will win and pull everyone else to their energy. Okay, so if someone has a really, really, really bad vibration going on, and you're a higher vibration, but you're not really too secure in it, you're going to be yanked down to their level. And likewise, on the other hand, if you are really, really secure in your high vibration and someone else has a negative vibration, you're going to help them out. They're going to be pulled up to your level, or at least somewhat. I'm sorry. Yeah. And so that's okay. So another thing you can do is really ground yourself at your higher vibration. Walk in there, being secure in your higher vibration, really being able to hang on to that, and then you won't be so influenced by someone with negative energy.
I did that with somebody last week. I manipulated their energy because they just were mad at something. I said, you know what? You're
Yeah.
not going to screw it up for us. Get this.
Right.
And I just went on and did it. And I
Yeah.
called Archangel Michael and aligned the right way, and that was a
Sure.
wrap.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I say, no,
sometimes.
you're not. We're done. We're not doing that.
Yeah.
Done. We're done.
And sometimes.
Because I try not to do stuff like that, really.
Right.
But that time, I was mad too. I said, you know what? Nah, I'm gonna show. We're gonna do this.
Right.
Sorry.
Exactly. And sometimes like if you have someone who has perpetually negative energy, you just don't really want to hang around them too much.
Nope.
It's like
Nope.
I don't want to put myself in a poisonous environment. I mean, yeah, I can maybe technically resist that and hang on to my vibration, but why would I want to go through that? It's like
Mhm.
sticking your hand on the hot stove, and I mean,
Exactly.
why would I want to go through that? So,
Yeah.
yeah, you have to
Yeah.
Yeah,
really,
so she basically did the opposite of what she should have done.
pretty much,
She
yeah.
felt close
Yeah.
in. She
Right.
should have asked for a shield and
Yes,
opened
and
up
that's that she
herself
opened up.
inside the shield.
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Ask for a shield. And then if you want to open slowly, you can. You can also keep that high vibration. But in that situation, you probably didn't have the ability to just get your vibration like that. So that's when you
Right.
call for a shield. And then you can
Exactly.
raise your vibration while you're behind the shield.
Exactly. Right.
But,
Right. 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 And it probably came up to teach her a lesson about how to deal with those sorts of situations. I mean, everything has a purpose for why it comes up. Nothing's useless. Nothing's superfluous. Everything has a reason for why it comes up. So, it might come up again, and you get another chance. Get another chance to handle that situation better the next time. You know what I mean? And that's good.
Hi
So,
guys.
yay! Christine's
Hello,
back.
Christine. How are you?
hello,
Good.
Christine.
Hello.
Good.
We have Justin and
Tired?
Brenda and Rhea,
Just a little bit.
and Cope is here too.
Who?
Cope, someone
Cool.
new.
Oh, cool. Awesome. I love it.
Oh.
Bye.
Hello.
So, yeah,
Okay,
so
it's me, Brenda,
Rhea and someone new.
Ria.
Yeah, Rhea and Cope.
Priya, and
Cope,
Cope.
C-O-P-E.
Oh, hello, Cope.
Hello. How are you guys today?
Wonderful. How
Hi.
are
We are
you?
good. How are you?
Hello.
Well,
Great.
hello.
This is my cuckoo clock. You're new to these, so
Say
you
hello
haven't,
to
you haven't introduced
Coco.
my cuckoo clock yet.
I'm just an old country boy in a big city trying to learn what's going on
Yeah,
here.
that's cool.
That's alright.
That's
nice.
nice.
What's wrong with that?
Feel free to interject yourself anytime you want to. If you have questions or commentary or anything at all, we're just sort of very relaxed here.
Yeah.
Well,
Just jump
you
in.
talk in what everybody is talking about tonight. Uh, how do you differentiate between vibration and frequency in what we're doing here? Or talk about raising the vibration, or is it raising the vibrational frequency?
Vibration and frequency is,
Mm.
to me, the same thing. Would you
Be the
agree?
same thing.
Vibration, frequency, yeah, I mean, same thing. It's just all
I
about
would,
your energy and what
yeah.
level you're at, how your emotions are, how you
Let's.
perceive
I
things.
will look that up though. I will research that, but I kind of think of it
I
as
use
the
them
same
synonymously.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I use them Was there a difference that you understood that you can feel free to introduce that if you want to,
Absolutely.
but I never heard of a difference myself. Do you have any specific questions about that, Cope?
Well, uh, I understand physics and
Right, right,
the
right.
and the vibration and the frequency, and to me, it's the frequency that creates for us.
Right. Sure.
Oh, I see. You're on a certain level, vibrational level or frequency level. Like we're on this
Yeah,
specific
yeah.
frequency to do
The
certain things.
frequency to me is what creates, whereas the vibrational level is uh, pretty unique to each one of us.
Right.
Okay.
However, as we raise our frequency, it becomes a different sense in what we're doing and how we're
Right.
growing.
Sure.
It's habit number 5 of the 7 habits of highly effective people is seek first to understand and then then to be understood, if I
Mm-hmm.
can speak correctly here.
Yes,
And
I remember that.
this is exactly what we're talking about tonight. It's all based on who we are and talking about our energy, and it's talking about as I spend a lot of time in the energy of words, and words
Right.
are what we
Words
tell
are
each
very
other.
powerful.
Yeah.
For example, the word won't, W-A-N-T.
Yeah.
To me, when somebody talks about that, that's a neediness. That
A
means I
lack.
don't
Yeah.
have what I want. And I
Yep.
use the word intention or choice or choose or something
Yeah.
like this
Me too.
to create what we're doing in our life.
Right. I, I
Yes.
I mean,
Agree.
it's an interesting point. I personally see vibration and frequency as pretty much the same thing, but I see it as, we have an overall vibration or frequency, like how we are on average or just overall. When people talk about raising their vibration or reaching reaching a higher vibrational level, it's like an overall thing, and then you can have a vibration on each subject. So
Hmm.
you might have a high vibration around money, you might have a low vibration around relationships. You have an overall how you are most of the time, and then you have, okay, on this subject I'm pretty good, I don't have too much resistance. On this subject I'm sort of not so good, I have a lot more resistance, and just kind of examples. I'm just pulling that out of thin air, but so I see it as sort of a collective sort of thing. You have the overall, and then you have different subjects that you might have more or less resistance around, and you have to work on the vibration of each one. But it's an interesting point for sure. Anyone else have any thoughts about it? No.
Yes.
You
Mm.
pretty much
Go ahead.
said it. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely possible. I mean, even someone who has a relatively high vibration overall can have a lot of resistance around certain areas. I've definitely met people who, they're pretty positive people overall, but they have problems. They have issues going on that they want to work on, and it's hard for them, and that's okay. I don't think we're ever done. Like I said, I don't think there's ever a point where we've reached the end and that's it. You know what I mean? I think that we're always progressing, we're always growing, we're always moving towards something better. That's my view of it.
It, I guess I'm a different character because I see as energy, pure energy, is basically, to me, the same vibration. However, it's the frequency of the energy
Right.
that we use that creates exactly what we
Sure.
have a choice of. And also, it comes out to the fact that the energy that we have, and we talk about blockages,
Right.
we can speed up our energy, and that we can use certain words
Yep.
to create or to or to weaken what we
Yes.
have, because the words that we tell ourselves, as I tell everybody, watch what you're saying because
Yep.
you're listening.
Yeah.
You know, and
Absolutely correct.
Yeah.
and
That's a great saying, man.
Yeah.
you create exactly what you're doing in life, and that's what we're doing here, every single one of us.
Yep.
And we look at that exactly what we've sent to people, and you know, it says in different a scripture I'll use this. It says, "I am that I am." Well, I change it to, "I am this I am,"
Yeah.
and that makes a difference in my life. What we tell ourselves creates our own existence.
Sure.
You change it to I am this, I am.
I am this I am.
Yeah. I like that.
And that makes it.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, you can finish your point. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Awesome.
Go ahead.
I think mostly we agree. I just think we're just slightly different terminology, and that's okay. The law of attraction is a very new, overall field. So
Oh.
I think overall we definitely agree on that. It's just we have slightly different terminology. You know, I kind of use those terms as synonymous, but I definitely agree on words. You know, I've said for a long time that
Oh yeah.
want has a very much lackful vibration to it. You know, when you say I want something, it implies and I don't have it, right? You know, it's whatever they're
Yeah.
whereas if you say my thing lately, and I like that you said choice, I say I choose to have whatever, and that's I'm exercising my choice, you know, as a deliberate creator, and that's a very, very choice. I think is probably one of the most powerful things that we have at our disposal. If you, I don't know how many of my blog posts you've read, but if you've read my blog post, the 3 essential elements to successful magic, I think I called it, something like that. But you know, the 3 are focus, will, and emotion.
Emotion.
And will is where choice is. I will, I choose. It's all kind of the same thing, you know. But you have to set your will. And I'm going to be talking about this a little bit later. I have kind of an interesting little, I guess, paradigm shift or a little shift of perspective I want to focus on. But, you know, when you say I choose, you're exercising your will. And if you don't do that, in my experience, the universe will not move to match that if you don't exercise your will first. You know, you have to say, I choose. You can't be wishy-washy about it. You have to say, I choose, or something equivalent. I intend. But I really like the power behind I choose.
And I choose I am.
Yeah.
This is.
The
I
only.
love I am.
Yeah.
Another word that I change is the word the, T-H-E, and I scratch that out in a lot of places and put the word my, because instead of saying the universe, I make it personal and say my universe, because it really is.
Yeah, that's good.
We're one. And you do that, and you look at many, many different words that have the, and you just scratch that out and put my, and it makes everything more personal in your life, and what you're speaking, and also in what you're doing.
My universe. I like that, and I like watch what you're saying because you're listening. Watch the word you're saying because you're listening.
Right.
Yeah,
that's cute.
Great.
The one thing, and I always, say this, is that words are powerful. Actually, I think did I have a blog post about words? Yeah,
yes.
I did. I just had a blog post about words. Anyway, words are powerful because of the energy behind them. So they're not
my energy.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
In and of themselves, they're empty vessels. You know, just if someone just has the word want and has no preconceived notions behind that word, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't have an energy to it. It's because of the societal associations we put on these words, where we say I want and we kind of feel that lack. We say I choose and we feel that empowerment. It's about the emotion. It is technically possible that if someone's really super clear on resistance, if they say I want abundance, they could feel good about that technically. It's not the word. You have to really, it's not, I mean, it is magic, but it's not like a magic wand that you just wave and it's, you know what I mean? Like, you have to take into account the energy behind the word. So if you say I want and you feel bad about that, which most people will, it's not going to be a useful word for you. If you say I choose and that works for you, that's great. If you say I intend, some people will say I allow and that works for them. You have to really, it's all personal. So, some people again will say I want and they'll feel awesome about that. Yeah, I want that. It's not a universal fact that the word want is lacking. It's just a generality. It tends to be a lacking word because of how we use it, because of what associations we put on it, and that kind of thing. So you always have to pay attention to the emotion. That's the third element of magic I talk about. Emotion. Emotion is really the indicator of energy vibration, or in your terms, energy frequency. Energy makes itself known through emotions. Okay, so the energy of a word can be known by the emotions that it triggers within you. So you always want to be aware of, is this creating a positive emotion in me, or is it creating a negative emotion in me? So that's definitely extremely important. You always want to be aware of that. Other questions? I definitely have a subject I want to get to eventually, but feel free to ask questions, anyone. Did you guys read the Zero State post from, what was it, yesterday?
Forgot
Yeah.
to read that.
Yeah? What did you think of that? It was,
I read it.
yeah. Yeah, I think you
I
commented on it.
completely forgot to read it.
Oh, okay, that's cool. That's something, I talked about the zero state a lot in the classes, obviously, but I realized I hadn't really discussed it too much on the blog. And it's something I wanted to get to because it's such. And I've gotten really a positive response. I posted it on Reddit. There's a Law of Attraction subreddit, and I got a huge positive response to it.
No, you didn't tell me this.
Oh, sorry. People
You put it
saying,
on the subreddit?
"What's that?"
You put it on the subreddit?
Yeah, they have like subreddits, like little forums on each subject. So they have a Law of Attraction forum, and I posted my link on there, and people were saying like, they've definitely seen it before, but never really put a word to it or name to it, and it's really useful for them, and they liked the what I said about it. So it's gotten a lot of positive response. But I think it's the zero state is probably the most important aspect of of manifesting. Because it's such a. Justin, remember that field of pure potentiality? I mentioned that in the post a
Yep,
little bit. Yeah,
that's
same
it.
thing. Same thing. And I mentioned you'll like it because I mentioned the analogy of the pebble in the pond or in the lake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. And the pebble, when the waters are still, it creates those ripples. But when the waters are turbulent, it doesn't do anything because there's too much resistance, there's too much interference, there's too much, turbulence. So your mind has to be still. So that's one of the major things you have to work on is, getting your mind to a still place. So I definitely recommend reading that one. So the thing I wanted to bring up was I was with a client today, and sometimes these random realizations come to me like, okay, that's interesting. And I realize I've been kind of veering towards this recently, but just I've been talking about like the Magus path. Everyone remember the Magus path?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Yep.
sorry, Christine. My computer made a noise that scared Christine.
No, it didn't. I laughed because I know what
Oh,
it
I
is.
thought you jumped.
No, I laughed
Sorry. Anyway,
because I'm the only one that knows what it means.
well, no one else heard
Oh,
it.
I like them. I know the Maker's Path.
I'm sorry. Yeah, the Megas Path.
Me too, yeah.
Yeah. So one thing I realized, and this is, I because I've had 2 months now where I've set monthly goals. Remember the monthly goals I talked about?
Mm-hmm.
I've had 2 months now where I successfully reached my monthly goal. Did I mention? Oh, I don't know if I mentioned here. I reached my monthly goal last month. I got literally 88 cents over my monthly goal.
I think last week you mentioned it.
Did
right?
I don't know if I did.
No, you
didn't.
have.
Got it.
I don't know. I was not here.
You
Okay.
got it. Well done.
Yeah, I got
You
it.
told me about it after the call.
Yeah, I
So
told you about it.
You did it by the skin of your teeth.
By the dollar. I mean, literally, November. No, I couldn't have last week because Wednesday was November 30th, and that's the day I reached it. November 30th. I'm like, I don't know how it's going to happen, and I'm really curious to find out, but I am going to reach that goal. And, I got a sign up that morning out of the blue, and it was literally, I needed, like the day before, I needed $34.12, and I got $35, so I was like 77 or 78 or whatever cents over what I needed. It was like just enough. It was crazy.
That's great.
Yeah, it was really insane. So, but anyway, so 2 months, for 2 months now, I've reached my monthly goal. And, last month was definitely a lot harder than it was in October because it was a higher goal. It was a higher goal by about 25%. And so it had a lot more resistance. And it helped me to realize a lot more about, how all this stuff works. I'm always trying to like perfect it and do better at it. So what I realized is the importance of tension. And it's an odd word because we talk about effortlessness, we talk about feeling the good feeling of what you want and all that kind of stuff, and relaxing into it, and that's all fine. And it goes into, I read this book last year, and I'll link to it in the outline that I give of the call. This book is called The Path of Least Resistance by Robert Fritz. Okay, it's
What a name.
what Fritz? I know. Isn't that a psychologist's name?
Yeah, it sounds so familiar.
I think it is. Anyway,
What you really want is an iron wire.
I'm sorry.
So what we look for in martial arts is Qigong is like an iron wire.
Right.
So it's not weak, not like a wet noodle.
Right.
It's not tense where it's not so rigid it can't move. It's strong. It can move and snap right back into place.
Exactly.
And that's
Right.
what you want is an
Right.
iron wire. Because I used the Megas Path a good bit before I met you.
Right.
Like before we started working together. And then I practiced your path a good bit because I hadn't. And I'm like, I got somebody that does this. That's training.
Right.
That's how I am. So,
Right.
and I mean, I've done some of it, but not as much. So then I just,
Right.
so now you kind of blend it. So what you want is the iron wire.
Right. Yeah, so I read this book. It's called The Path of Least Resistance by Robert Fritz. I'll link to it in the outline thingy. And when I read it last year, I read it as a result of, as a recommendation from, I took this course on hypnosis and the law of attraction last August in 2015. And,
Is that all it was? It feels like,
yeah,
wow,
I know, right?
long year.
So anyway, so I took this course, and the guy recommended 2 books. He recommended that Genevieve Davis and the like Becoming Magic, that series I've talked about before. It's an awesome series. It's 3 books. And then he also recommended this book, The Path of Least Resistance by Robert Fritz. And I read it, and these 2 books come from totally different paradigms. And actually, now that I have named these 2 paths, I think the Genevieve Davis comes from the Hermit Path, and I think that Robert Fritz comes from the Magus Path, definitely. Because Genevieve Davis is all about you set your desire once and you write a letter to the universe or whatever, and then you forget about it and you just let it come. And
Even though her book is called Magic.
yeah, well,
It's funny.
it's
It
magic
just
to
makes
her.
me laugh.
What is magic? But anyway,
Yeah.
so
Well,
yeah. So that's her path. And Robert Fritz's path is the Magus path. It's deliberate. It's it's visualizing your goal and that kind of stuff. And so it's totally different. And that's I think they're from those two different paths. So in his book, when I first read it, it was so much, and this is again when I was very very new to all this stuff. So much against what I like common wisdom of the law of attraction, like Abraham-Hicks and even like Richard Dot's. I was just already reading at the time and that kind of stuff. It was so against all of that. I'm like, this guy's nuts. It can't be because his um, premise was that the is that reality reacts to tension because structural tension has to be resolved. It looks for resolution. So if any of you are music people, I'm a music person, so
Me too.
and you ever hear
Yeah.
like a suspended chord or like a tension where it like you have that chord right before it resolves, and you're just waiting for it
I
to do
love it.
something, and then it resolves. And that's how structural tension is. It's this tension that looks for resolution. Okay, so his premise is that if you don't have tension, you don't have force, you don't have momentum, you don't have any catalyst to accomplish your goal. And if you develop that tension, and I'll explain this a little bit more in a second, if you develop that tension, then it will, and the stronger that tension, obviously there's a limit because if it's too strong, it'll rip you apart. But if you develop that tension pretty significantly, it will resolve into the goal. It has to. It will move reality. It will move you to that goal. Okay, he kind of likens it to like a rubber band. If you imagine like a huge rubber band around your waist and it's tied around like the far wall or something, and the farther away from the wall you get, let's say the wall is your goal, the farther away you get, the tighter that rubber band is. But also the tighter it is, the more momentum you have to go towards that wall. You know
Unless
what I
it
mean?
breaks.
Yeah, well, it doesn't break. It's a really strong rubber band.
Oh, okay. The only thing I picture with a rubber band.
The rubber band is the universe.
It's the universe. It's a really strong rubber band. It's not going to break.
It will not
You
break.
don't break before it breaks.
Sorry.
Now,
but
it will rip you apart.
It'll slice through you, but it
You
won't
will
break.
break first.
Sorry, I've had them break and it hurts. Sorry.
I love rubber bands.
Try bungee. Say what now?
I've had them break and it hurts.
Yeah.
You try bungee jumping with the universe as your rubber band and see what happens.
I've
I like
never
that.
bungee jumped in my
jump
life.
with the universe. I like that. That should be like a marketing slogan. Bungee jumping with the universe. Anyway,
I've never done it.
so that was his premise, and I am getting to a point. I swear. So what I realized at the time, I'm like, that's nuts. Like he talks about tension, and like Richard Dotz is talking about total effortlessness and relaxation, and totally letting go, and how is that possibly compatible? So for a long time, I totally dropped it. Okay, and
Yeah, you were like, what the?
I did. I actually returned the book because I'm like, this is nuts.
Oh, you returned it?
I did return
You
it.
didn't tell me this.
Yeah, I did.
You said, oh, I still have it.
I
You
thought
didn't
I
tell
had
me
it.
you
I had
got
the
it.
sample. Yeah, I got it. I had to. I'm rereading it. Anyway, so
He doesn't tell me these things, guys.
sorry. Well, now I do eventually on the call.
See?
Anyway, so at the time I thought it was nuts. And last year I was mostly on the hermit path, right? I was mostly on that path, and I was getting some results, and it was okay. And then this year I've been mainly, and especially in the last 5 months or so, last 4 or 5 months, I've been on the Magus path. But when I looked, I didn't even think of this book until after my realization today. I was looking back at last month's result, at October's result, My monthly goals and I'll go into this in a second, at all the major accomplishments I've had in my life. And I realized last month there was a tension tying me to my goal. And the further away I was from my goal, the tighter that tension was, the stronger the tension was. And it would not resolve until I reached my goal. And on November 30th, when I got that final amount that I needed to reach my goal, there was total release. He calls it completion. Okay, there's this total receiving of it. You have to receive it. You have to acknowledge it. You have to, it's completed. And there was no tension because it was done. And I realized it's that tension that brings you to your goal. And then once you're to your goal, it's like, okay, well, it's done because, there's no more need for it. And am I making sense so far? I'm kind of rambling.
So the closer you got to your goal, was it getting tighter for you? Or was it getting looser for you?
Throughout the month, for me, in the beginning of the month, it's like, oh, I got the whole month. So it's sort of loose. And then as it gets to the end of the month, that tension gets tighter. It's like, I got to make up the difference. I got to make up the difference. And then both months now, it's the last 2 weeks or 10 days or so that makes up like 25% of the difference.
That's when it all happened. It's like,
oh yeah, it's always like the last 10 days. Oh, I really got to make up the difference.
Yeah, yeah. I've actually in my life, I've actually noticed that too. You're like when I would do something, I would literally, it would come down to the midnight hour and it would work.
Yeah.
Like semesters and other stuff. But I mean, it was like, I would use, like I said, I used a lot of, I was sort of mega C, I guess, before.
Right,
I never considered myself on the megas path. I used a lot of force and power.
Right.
And I had good technique, but I used a lot of force and power, just pray for the best and it worked. So I mean, that's it. I like that book. What's it called again?
And it's called The Path of Least Resistance by Robert Fritz.
I gotta find that.
FRITZ is his last name. But looking back, and here's the thing: law of attraction is wonderful, but you have to compare it against your day-to-day experience. The law of attraction's been active your whole life. Okay, always. You didn't always deliberately use it, but it's always been active. What did I do?
No, you didn't. I want to say something.
Oh, go ahead.
And I noticed that I would never get my papers done in college until the last minute.
Oh no, I was
major procrastinator. And I'll tell you why. I work better under pressure.
Right.
And it was that tension thing. And I always did better when I.
Right. So, you have to look back at your real world results. Okay, it's wonderful if people say you got to be relaxed about it, you got to, because people will say, well, actually, I'll get to that later. Remind me, Christine. Non-negotiable is what I want to get to.
When do you want me to remind you?
In a few minutes. Just don't let me move on without it. Anyway, so I realized when you look back at your life, when I look back at my life, my biggest results, my biggest successes are when I had that structural tension going on. When I told you guys about my auditioning for the music school at Duquesne, right? Does everyone remember me talking about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically, I had no idea how I was going to get in, but I was determined I was going to get in. It was a total. I had to do it. And I studied my butt off. I prepared for it. I got in. I did it. Because I was horrible on theory. I had to train myself on theory and musicianship, like ear training and stuff. But I got in, because I knew I would. And I had a friend at the time who, actually the next year, I was helping to train him because he was trying to get in. And he was totally non-motivated, and he did not get in, not surprisingly. And then, I talked about the experience like 2 or 3 months after Christine and I got married, where we ran out of money like halfway through the month, and we had to make up that difference. And I didn't know what to do, but I'm like, you know what, it has to work. And I was freelancing at the time. I got a freelance project for exactly the amount I needed to get through the month.
And then you told me.
And then I did not tell Christine until it was resolved, because otherwise her worry would make me worry, and then it wouldn't work out. And then, last September, I've talked about a billion times, September of 2015, when, we had that really huge problem with income, and we had like $200 to make it through the month, and had to make it work. And that's right after I started getting the law of attraction. It had to make it work, and it worked. You know, um, Also, when it's Christine's mother who owns the house we live in, and she's not real strict about rent and stuff. So we used to not give her as much as like her rent is like $450, and we used to not give her as much as that, because we didn't make that much at the time. And so I would say, well, if we have extra, we'll pay her the extra. Well, guess what? We never did. And then we decided, you know what? No matter what happens, we're paying her that full amount. And then, oh, look, always had enough, because we had to. And, those last 2 months, like I said, I made it non-negotiable. I had to reach my goal, and I did. I did. Yes, usually last minute, but I reached it because it had to happen. I chose. There's that word, choose. I chose that I was going to reach that goal. So when I look back through my life, both before I knew about the law of attraction and after, to me, I see that my most powerful, fastest results came when there was that tension. Okay? And to me, that tension is when you make the goal non-negotiable. You make it indisputable. You make it that this has to happen. Because
Yeah,
yeah, because
I agree.
there are people who say like, and I have said this before, so I put myself in that group, but get to the point where you couldn't care less whether you get the goal or not. That's really, really slow energy. That's very much hermit path, and that could work. I don't know. I'm not patient enough to try it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
But
you were on that path for a
I
while.
know, but I'm not patient enough to really try it for the long run. You know what I mean? Like, now I have really, really clear personal results that say that I don't have to do it that way. For me, when I make the goal non-negotiable, when I say, "Look, I'm going to do it. I have to do it," that's when it happens. Does that make sense?
I
Yeah.
blend both. I've always blended both because
Yeah.
I've found that the tension stuff works, but I've also found that it wears you out, and sometimes you're not sure where I should actually put that much focus on. So I just
It
sort of
definitely takes
feel it
energy.
out, and then
Right.
when there's something I need to actually do, I do it. Other than that, I just sort of intend, and then and then when there's
Right.
a situation I need to change, I just
Well,
change it
tell me
like you just did.
what brings the fastest results?
For me,
Hmm.
what brings me the fastest results when I need to. You know what I am.
Yeah. Well, I
You know
mean,
what I do.
and the relaxed, effortless sort of approach.
No, I mean, I love the relaxed, effortless thing because what that does is allow me to keep rolling
Right.
without stopping. But when I need to hit a home run,
Right.
I hit a
You
home
bring
run.
the yeah.
I bring the heavy guns. Yeah, I've always, even training with you, I've always done that.
Right.
Like
And I think yeah. Go ahead.
whenever I've needed to just make a play, make something happen, I chanted to the archangels or called on some animals or some saints and went to work. I didn't, and I took that relaxed feel and sped it up,
Right.
and I intensified it, and that was it.
There
Done deal.
yeah. There was an awesome. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You weren't done.
So, but I like the thing I like. What I've learned about the tension thing is I can't teach people or show. You can't really show people the non-negotiable thing first because they've been trying that like really hard and it doesn't work. So what I've noticed is you have to like back them off, and then like
yes.
you don't have to have them go super slow, but you got to tell them, all right, man, chill out for a minute.
Two
Chill out.
Two things I want to mention.
Get your feet under you.
Yeah.
And then go.
It was funny. I was reading that Discworld book today, Witches Abroad, and there was a quote in there that basically the paraphrase of it was, "You can't wish for things; you have to make them happen." Like, oh yeah, that's
right.
that's exactly
how I do it.
Yeah. Anyway,
I make
so how I see it, when to take each path, you're right. When you first come to this, because the tension is not, it's not stress, it's not anxiety. Tension is not a bad thing. It's not like worrying about it. That's not tension. That's just resistance. Okay, so I want there to be
cold force.
right. Tension is, it's like um, when you're about to do something you really want to do, and you're about 10 minutes from doing it, and you're going to do it. Let's say you're about to go out to your favorite restaurant, and you've been looking forward to this. Let's say you haven't gone there for months. You know what I mean? You're really building up anticipation. It's not feeling that tension. Oh yeah, I'm really excited about it. It's not done yet. It will be done. It's not anxiety. You're not anxious about whether it's going to happen. It's tension, like it has to resolve, right? Or like if you're about to leave on vacation and you're not gone yet, it's not the relief of like, oh yay, we're going. No, but it's like the tension of like the night before, and you're trying to sleep, and you have that's the tension. It pulls you forward. So it's not anxiety, but yeah, when people first come to this stuff, you know, my clients, the pattern I use with most of my clients, depending how advanced they are, because usually they're way too focused. Okay, so I will slow them way down. I will use the hermit path. I will just tell them, just focus generally, just feel good, just stop action right now, don't act. And I will do that for as long as it takes, that I can see that their energy is improving. Okay, that's like zero state sort of stuff. And then once they're ready, they'll kick them into gear and say, all right, now you got to make this happen. Now, and it'll happen very quickly. Very, very quickly, because there's no resistance there. Yes, they could do that from the beginning, but most people aren't ready for that. Most people aren't ready for that. So yeah, it's definitely maybe at first you want to slow it down. You want to just be general about it, just feel good about it, that kind of thing. But and if you just have like a general area of life you kind of want to improve overall, you don't really have too many specific goals about it, and just sort of, then you might be able to get away with a slower path. Okay, but if you really want to be a creator, a deliberate creator, a very a creator that gets really fast results, especially, which is what my goal. That you want to have that tension, and it's healthy. Again, you don't want to have it too much because it'll bring up a lot of resistance. But you want to have it just enough that it pulls you forward to your goal.
And if it's too fast, like it's too fast, you won't get the manifestation either.
Right.
You'll like,
well, you'll be
it
too
just
resistant.
won't work.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And a lot of people do that.
Right.
They're just too much resistance.
Well, a lot of people, because it has to be, and this guy really outlines this in the book. It can't be problem based, so you can't do it in order to get rid of your problem. And that's what most people do when they're acting really quickly. It's not really tension towards their goal; it's tension away from their problem, and that doesn't work.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So that's why you want to use the slower general path for a while to get them out of the problem orientation. Okay, because
yeah,
anything has a problem orientation and a creation orientation. So if you want more abundance, your problem orientation is I don't want to be poor. Okay, I don't want to be homeless. I don't want to be in this situation. That's how most people come to the law of attraction. And you got to get out of that. You got to
they don't.
Right. And you can't just switch from problem orientation to creation orientation just like that. You can't do it.
No.
Unless you're really, 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 really good at this, but very unlikely. So yeah, you have to slow down. You have to focus. Just generally, you have to just take it slowly and relax about it, enter the zero state, and that kind of stuff. But once you're out of that orientation, mostly, then you get to focus on the creation orientation. I want to be abundant. I want to have a job. I want to pay my bills easily. Okay? You don't define your situation by your problem. You define your situation by what you want to create. All right? And so that's when you get to focus more on the creation orientation and what you actually want and move towards that, create that tension between where you are right now and what you want, and move towards it. Right. And it will go there. But yeah, you definitely have to get out of the problem orientation first. Yeah. Otherwise, it's just going to be too hard, because what happens with the problem orientation is it tends to oscillate. So someone who's trying to solve a problem, they'll focus on that, and they might succeed for a while. Okay, they might succeed for a while. That's the thing. But once they get away from the problem, then they relax because it's like, oh, now I'm away from it. But then the problem comes back because they didn't really. It was in terms of the problem, so it didn't really go away.
You want to think of it as a solution, or
not even a solution.
Not solution, but like overall
a creation.
Creation, yeah.
A decision.
Yeah.
Okay, not in terms of I don't want to be poor,
right?
Or I don't want to be alone, like if it's a relationship, or I hate my job, or you don't want to do it that way. It won't work that way. But for me, it works a lot better once you're out of that danger range. It works a lot better to make your goal non-negotiable. To make it, yeah, I get that it might be a little more advanced, but to make it non-negotiable, to make it so that it will happen, and it will. I can't believe that I was, whatever I said, 88 cents above my goal. Just 88 cents. If that's not deliberate, I don't know what is. And I'm really not.
88 is infinity, too.
I'm sorry?
8 is
infinity, you're right.
You got
right.
2 of them.
That's funny. But, it's not, like, I'm not trying to brag about that. I'm just the results I got. But that's how specific. I told you, I think before, I mentioned this somewhere. I don't remember where, so not all of you might remember this. But the guy I took that class from last year, the Hypnosis and Law of Attraction, he manifested to the specific person, like exactly how many people would be in his class. He just chose a number, and he manifested it, and it was to the number. Exactly. So,
wow.
You can get really exact about this stuff. You can get really, really exact about it. Now, not on the hermit path. On that path, you can't really get too exact.
That's nuts.
But on the Magus path, you can get extremely precise. Okay.
You get exact as long as you line up with it and you really care about those exact.
Right.
And I found for me that if I may want it, but if I was like, I go, you know what, I actually don't care how it works out, but I want it really bad. It'll work out quickly. It'll just sort of work out in a strange way.
Exactly.
But it always works just fine. I'm like,
Right. So, yeah, that is... But, I think the most important thing is to put all of this into context. Look back through your life. See when you got your biggest manifestations, not just as a law of attraction practitioner, because then you can kind of be biased as like, well, it's because I was doing this technique or that. No, but look before you knew about it. Before you knew about it, when did you get your biggest successes? When you really wanted something, when did you get it? What happened around that time? When was it that you got your biggest successes? And because it doesn't work if it's just theory. And that's what I've realized. For myself, it's always been very deliberate. It's always had to be that sort of... Again, it can work the other way. But for me, it's just always been that sort of, I'm going to make this happen. And it has. So you have to look for yourself. What's worked the most for me? And, do that. Because that will show you that it works. Go ahead.
I've had successes even in school doing work. I've had success both ways when I've absolutely had to,
Sure.
but also when I've been able to actually plan and apply force at the right time.
Right.
I like applying force or applying energy at the right time.
Right.
It's like you go along, you're hermit, mage. Hermit, mage. And I've always liked to just jump, relax,
Right.
jump. As long as it's been an explode. For me, that's just always done it. It's always worked like that.
Yeah. It's just different for everyone.
Really well.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
That's really good. And Brandon, this is Cope. You know, the tension is very good because of the tension, I've failed my way to success.
Right.
You know, because it created a thesis, antithesis creates a synthesis, which becomes a thesis, going to the antithesis, which creates a synthesis,
Right.
and you always find a way.
Right. And I think,
Right.
Cope, I think you would like this book because if you're into like the more physics-based, you know, explanations of things, it's a very technical book. It's very much about structure, like the structure behind things, and like, you know, it's very technical. So you might enjoy a book like this. It's a really good book.
Yeah.
So, you know, I definitely recommend it. But yeah, it's and the nice thing, you know, I said during the money course, for those of you who are in it, that you have to start with where you are. You know, you can't like I know Abraham-Hicks sort of says just ignore current reality, and I'm not in that camp.
I don't like that.
I believe that you should fully admit to yourself what your current reality is and be okay with it. And, you know, you have to admit where you are right now. If you ignore that and just say, I'm not going to look at it, it's just going to fester. You know, so admit where you are right now. So the tension is between where you are right now and where you want to be. And, you know, the way he explains it is the stronger the tension, the more force there is. You know, so the more that pushes you ahead. And then the looser, like as the tension loosens because you get closer, the more momentum you have because you're quickly approaching your goal. You know, it's accelerating you towards it. So you want to acknowledge. So you look at what you want. You look at where you are now. You say, okay, how close am I? You know, I'm not totally away from it. I'm not like, you know, there's nothing in common whatsoever. Hopefully. So what's in common here, and also what's not in common here? What do I have that is in my goal, and what's in my goal that I don't have yet? And that will show you where you are. So it's sort of the discrepancy. You have to pay attention to just discrepancy of where you are and where you want to be, and then you'll see that line up closer and closer and closer as you get closer to your goal. You say, oh, now that's there, now that's there, now that's there, and we're closer, and we're closer, and we're closer, you know, and then you'll get there, and it's a really awesome feeling when you have achieved the goal and when the tension's resolved and it's just completion, you know, and I like to spend a few days in that kind of space, like, you know, and it kind of sets up the next goal because you always have something else. So I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions or comments about what we discussed, or if you want to change the subject, anything else?
No questions, but my pay is going crazy. She's seeing something in the living room.
Really?
And it's playing with her. Yeah.
You're what? Did you say what's going crazy?
It's playing with her. Whatever she's seeing.
Yeah.
It's playing with her.
Weird.
She's hopping around and like, yeah.
Huh. Who knows? That's crazy.
Because she'll look at the wall, right, and then she'll look like under the desk, and she'll hop around and like do her little pat thing when she wants to play.
Right. That's cute.
Is that your cat?
Her dog.
No, it's my dog.
Okay. You say your discrepancies. You mean you just want to see how from where you are, how far you are from your goal? Is that what you're saying?
Right. And you'll see those discrepancies lessen and get smaller as you get closer. So,
Okay, yeah.
An income goal is a really good example of that. So for my income goals I have every month, I see as I get closer. So I say, okay, I've had this much, and I have this much to go. Okay, that's the discrepancy. There's that tension there. Set up that tension, and it's there. It's good. And again, you make it non-negotiable. It's going to happen. It's just going to happen. I don't know how else to describe that. It's like you have to choose. You have to just. It's like, and I feel like I've been coming to this recently because I've been talking about holding your vision no matter what, uncompromisingly, holding your vision, and letting reality take you there. That's really that tension. Holding that vision that's opposed to outer reality right now, fine, but you hold it anyway. Resistance comes up, fine, you hold it anyway. Something bad happens on the outside, fine, you still hold the vision. You don't compromise. Right?
That's right.
You don't compromise on that vision. Otherwise, it's going to reduce that tension. It's going to be gone. And you're not going to go anywhere. So you got to hold that vision. So that's, I feel like I've been talking about that recently, which is really interesting.
Did you say what you wanted to say that I was supposed to remind you?
Yes, I did.
Okay. I thought you did, but.
So, that's very important. But yeah, so, like an income goal, you look at what you have right now, where you want to be, you hold that vision. Okay, I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I'm going to get there. And yeah, I mean, I can see someone asking, I want to head this question off, first of all, and someone might ask, if I feel tension, won't that just create more tension? Because it's like, whatever emotions you have, you create, right? And I don't know if I have an explanation for this right now, but no.
Well, but it's a positive tension, not
yeah, it's
a positive
tension.
Tension.
It's in like an anticipation.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm saying it's the tension that you're feeling is what you want.
Right.
Because it's a positive tension. So will that create more tension? Yes, but it's more the tension that you want. If you are, it's not a negative tension. It's like, it's what you want, because that energy is going to get you to your goal.
Right.
Like speeding up in a car, you want more speed.
Right.
But
right.
If you're going downhill out of control, obviously you want to slow down. You don't want more of that, because that's obviously, so that in manifestation terms, that would be, if it's really stressing you out, absolutely slow it down.
Right.
If it is a good fun tension, hey, this is this is energy I want. There's a little bit of resistance there, then I'm going to go ahead and want to keep feeling that, because that's going to get me to my goal.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and I mean, I don't think it'll create more tension, because it will loosen because you're going to get closer. The way he describes it, and this is my experience, that the structure of your, your subconscious, of your being, will seek resolution. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't want tension. Okay, like, we do this all the time when we avoid things. He talks about avoidance patterns all the time. Like, if you don't like a certain person, so you try to avoid them. You have that tension of, I really don't want to see them, and you resolve it by avoiding them, right? Mm-hmm. That's a tension to resolution sort of thing. It's not very healthy. It's a problem orientation kind of thing, but it's the same sort of experience. Tension wants to be resolved. Okay, mm-hmm. So I would call this kind of under the emotional level. It's not really an emotion. It's just a sense, a sensation of tension. Of, I'm not there yet.
Energy thing.
I'm not there yet. I know I'm not there yet, but that's okay.
Almost like pure energy just driving you.
Right. It feels like, to me,
like feeling where your energy in your body is broken or full or not broken.
Right. To me, it feels like a magnet. It feels like something's pulling me forward. It feels like a magnet. And I know when I have that magnet, I know when I don't. And when I don't, it's like nothing's really driving me forward. So it will pull you forward. It wants to be resolved. It wants to resolve itself. So you holding on to that vision, it has to resolve itself as long as you hold on to that vision, because your body, your subconscious does not want to be in tension. It just doesn't. So as long as you hold on to that, it's going to pull you forward. Obviously, yes. So you want to feel good about your goal. You want to have that good feeling. You want to do all that kind of stuff. But you also want to compare it to where you are right now and notice the difference. But, it doesn't mean to be anxious. Yes, you want to be grateful for what you have and be grateful for your progress, all that kind of stuff. But also, again, notice that difference. Notice the discrepancy. And acknowledge how far you've come. Acknowledge what's different. And it's okay. Right? It's very different. It's very different. It's just not something I've seen a lot of, none of, described out there. I've not seen this at all. But again, this is my personal experience from the last several goals I've accomplished. It's that tension that drives you forward. I used to have this limiting. I think I've talked about this before. I used to have a limiting belief that said, I believed that everything would always work out. I'd always have, like, if I had a bill due and I didn't have enough money to pay that bill, it would work out. I knew I'd get enough money. But once I had enough money, it would stop. I would not get any more. I would have just enough money. I might have like $50 in the bank at the end of the month. You know what I mean? And that was it. And okay, it's great. Everything worked out, but I would like a bit more.
Yeah.
I would like a bit more. So I started realizing it's not because necessarily I had a limiting belief about it. It was because of the tension. The tension resolved as soon as I got enough money. Once I had enough to pay my bills, it's like, oh, yay! And then I stopped. I stopped the tension. It was resolved. I reached my goal. Right? So as soon as I started setting goals above and beyond my basic needs, above and beyond my bills, above and beyond, expenses we had, then that was the tension. And then the tension wouldn't resolve until I reached that higher level. So then I started achieving a higher level. It wasn't really a limiting belief. It was just a tension. It was a structural tension issue where instead of letting go when I reached, having enough, it didn't let go until I had what I wanted, a lot more than enough. And now that's my reality, right? So that's something you want to pay attention to, because it really can affect it. So that's, again, this has been my experience. It's not talked about much, if at all, out there, but to me, it's what drives the energy. Does that all make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Let's see, we have a few minutes. Other questions or comments about what we discussed? Or anything else? Feel free.
Oh, good.
Good, Rhea?
Good.
Okay. So yeah, I am going to, let's see, Thursday's post is going to be about something else. And then next Monday is I'm going to write about this tension thing. I know, I mean, for those who listen to this, it'll be a lot of the same, but I'm sure new stuff will come through. It always does as I'm writing. But I really want to write about this on the blog, so that'll be next Monday probably. But I hope this concept helps. I hope that it helps you guys to formulate your goals and how to reach them better. And, I really hope it helps you with, what you're trying to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
It's really awesome.
Good. Yeah, what'd you think, Kristen?
I loved it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Cool. So,
appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
I appreciate it. It was good. Good.
Good. I'm so glad. So yeah, no other questions then?
No.
All right. So then I hope that everyone has a great week. I appreciate you joining us today. And welcome to you also, Cope. I'm glad you were able to join us today. That was awesome. It's good to have someone new around.
Definitely.
So, I hope everyone has a great week.
Night.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Good night. Bye.
Yeah.